G'day Internet, Max right here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin today. We're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to hear from Michael Saylor and from Anthony Scaramucci. And as the market's, down these last couple months, actually, really, I think we're pushing into a couple months worth of down now. I think it's a good idea to just, when in doubt, zoom out and look at the big picture. And so we'll discuss some bigger ideas here with Anthony Scaramucci and Michael Saylor. So we'll get to that in just a moment. This is the last few hours. Bitcoin price has shot up, shot down. And listen, something that I've noticed, well, I should just point out this trend line here. Looks like it's resting on it. Should we break that, that could be a little bit of trouble here for Bitcoin in the short term. Just resting right there. Got 3 touch points. Just wanted to point that out to y'all. So, and also this important trend line here. Actually, I will just show a couple things here. We'll zoom out on the daily. And there's this important trend line here, and we broke through it, came back up, confirmed it as resistance, and are now headed back down. All pretty bad signs. But listen, something that I've noticed in the last year actually would be, 2021. I've really noticed that a lot of the things that used to work in the world of Bitcoin and understanding what's about to happen don't work anymore. I've really noticed that theme this year. And I think that's because of the different market participants that are moving in. There's just a lot more institutions that have moved in, and they behave in different ways. Prior till 2021, the crypto space and Bitcoin space was largely retail. And they were emotional and flighty, and there were these massive run-ups and massive run-downs and a whole bunch of things happening that were pretty predictable if you understood retail, which I think I did fairly well. Now institutions are in the space, and they dominate so much of this that they're tacking when other people are jiving. I'm not a sailor, you can tell, but they're going one way when everybody. How about I stick with zig and zagging? They're zigging when everyone else is zagging, and so I really noticed the markets are behaving differently in 2021, and so I think that's important to understand for the people who've been around a little bit and watch that. And also, I'll say this: listen, I'm feeling very, very nervous about the macro markets. I'd say over the last, since 2008, which I felt very nervous before 2008. I don't think I had a YouTube channel then, so it didn't really matter. But I predicted the 2008 scenario. Since then, I would say there's been about 4 occasions when I've been really, really nervous and think this is just going to be a big, epic, massive crisis. And it just hasn't turned out. Even March of 2020, where the market crashes 30%, but it came back so fast, I'm just not even counting that. I'm thinking of something even bigger than that and more long-lasting than that. And I want to let you guys know I feel that level of nervousness now. Having said that, I think I've had it about 4 times, and so each time I was wrong, I would say. Even though March 2020, you could say I was right, but it was so short-lived, I kind of forget it. So I just want you guys to know I've trimmed back my positions a little bit. I don't have any leverage positions at the moment. I'm still for the vast, mostly hodling. And just so you know, I'm positioned to weather a storm. So I still have the vast majority of my portfolio in crypto, but I just have a lot of cash in the bank. And I can weather a storm substantially. I can go many years without ever having to sell crypto if crypto goes into a multi-year bear market. I don't think that concept is valid anymore, by the way. The concept of the 4-year cycle, 2 years up, 2 years down. I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think crypto will go into a multi-year bear market anymore, but I'm just planning for myself for the worst case scenario. I can go many years without having to rely on any of my crypto portfolio. And so that gives me an enormous amount of strength, gives me diamond hands. I don't have to sell. But it wouldn't surprise me if we get a big punch in the guts here to Bitcoin and, in fact, the broader markets, the other macro markets, real estate, stock market, etc. So I just wanted to lay that out there and let you guys know that that's where I'm feeling. And so I've just trimmed back my positions a little bit. All my leverage positions I've taken care of, and now I just have a good hodl portfolio, and I'm ready to weather any storm. All right, let's jump over to this conversation I picked up between it was Scaramucci and Saylor, and so let's get into it here, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
And so do you have a number in mind of what you think is going to be at that end of the 10 years of what Bitcoin's price might be?
Look, my view of Bitcoin is if you value it as digital gold, it's better gold than gold, as Anthony has said before, and that makes it worth 20 trillion. And if you think of it as digital property, like a digital hotel in cyberspace or digital real estate, well, it's going to demonetize a lot of real estate and a lot of property, and that makes it worth 100 trillion. And if you think of it as digital money or digital energy, because you're going to move it a million times a second and split, when the hotel gets split into a million little hotel minutes and rented out around the world and recomposed and moves at the speed of light, then I think it's worth a lot more than the 100 trillion. It becomes worth a $250 trillion plus thing. So I think Bitcoin's going to go up with volatility and subcyclicality over time, and going to
So
become
let's
more
just put
important
this
of
in.
all of our lives as
Let's
time
put
goes
this
on.
into context. On the low end, you said 10 trillion. On the high end, 250 trillion. Bitcoin's market cap today is 1.5 trillion.
Yeah.
So you're looking at substantial upside, 10x to 200x. Anthony, you did something at
Do
Skybridge that
do
is
do I
equally.
have to do I have to speak because I could listen to Michael Saylor all day and night? So you sure you want me
Anthony,
to speak because
Anthony,
Michael's doing a great
Anthony,
job. Yeah.
Anthony, you have to speak.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
but you can only speak to the question that I ask.
All right, go
So,
ahead.
you did something equally unusual as Michael. You decided to put Bitcoin and later Ethereum as well into your flagship funds at Skybridge. So, talk about your thinking because you had a different journey and a different logic stream than Michael.
Well, my journey actually starts with Michael Saylor. I think he may remember this. I listened to him on a podcast about his investment in Bitcoin, and I reached out to a mutual friend and I asked Michael if I could have a phone conversation with him. And then we did that. And then I asked Michael if he could join me on a Salt Talk series. And he did that as well. And Michael, I think, brought me, frankly, to my eureka moment. So even though I'm not a corporation in that several dozen corporations that Michael's referencing, I want to say thank you to Michael here in this public forum for helping me see what he saw. And Michael basically explained to me something that is seminal that I think needs to be repeated everywhere, that Bitcoin itself is a network. And if you understand the exponential growth capabilities of the Bitcoin network and how fast it's grown since its inception, outpacing other networks like Google, Facebook, Amazon, other types of networks that work off of Metcalfe's law. And then Michael also brought up something to me, which I'm sure he'll remember. He said, well, let's take Coca-Cola. And suppose we destroyed Coca-Cola tonight and we had the words Coca-Cola. Could we restart Coca-Cola? And of course, the answer is yes. So he was using the example of an old-fashioned network. And I don't know how many wallets there are now, Bitcoin. We can guess at that. There's probably between 180 and 250 million wallets from our best guesstimate here at Skybridge. And if Kathy Wood is correct, it goes to a billion, Rick. We'll be well over $500,000 a coin at that moment because of the scarcity. So, first off, I want to say thank you to Michael. One of the more brilliant things that Michael has done in his life is shared his insights with other people. His institutional forum, I don't know, Michael, was that 6 months ago or 8 months ago, was one of the more brilliant things that I participated in. We need people like Michael to explain to people who are conditioned for the temporal world where we're going and why we're going there and how we're getting there way faster than people originally expected. And I'll just say one last thing. We are so early. It is mind-bogglingly early because you have some of the elder statesmen of the financial services community, whether it's a Warren Buffett, a Charlie Munger, or a Jamie Dimon, who still have not spent the time on this. And what I would encourage everybody listening into, please spend the time on it, because if you spend the time on it like Ray Dalio did or others, you end up owning some of it. And I think it's worthwhile for yourselves, your portfolio, and your team.
So, I mean, there you go. just a couple of points that I want to draw your attention to there. And Anthony kind of hinted at it there, is the absolute inevitability. This is the fastest growing network that the world has ever seen. And just look at what past networks have done. Facebook and Amazon and Instagram and Twitter and the fax machine. So all of these things, they just come onto the market with such just incredible speed because of that network effect, that Metcalfe's law. And it's written, even if nothing else changed, like if nothing else changed, just I think by 2024, 2025, we'd have a billion users. By 2028, 3 billion users, nearly half of the planet. We are standing in front of an absolute avalanche of people racing to get this, arguably the most scarce resource in the world, because it's fixed. If you look at things like gold, if people want more gold and the price of gold shoots up to $50,000 an ounce, you better believe the mining companies will figure out a way to get more gold. They'll go deeper, they'll go wider, they'll do whatever they got to do. Gold that's not worth getting is all of a sudden worth getting. And that's true of almost anything. If the Apple stock goes up, well, what do? The companies issue more stock and dilute the stock. Pretty much everything else, as it increases in value, it gets diluted, the supply gets increased. In the world of Bitcoin, that is not true. No matter how big the demand is, they have to come and get it from you if you were smart enough to position yourself in front of that avalanche. And that is just a mind-blowing concept. So during times like this, where we're looking at about 45 days here of down from 69,000 down to 47 as I look at it. So a good solid 30% plus drawdown over the last 6 weeks. And just to remember where this is going to go. Make sure you're in a position where you don't have to sell. You got strong diamond hands, and if you have to ride out several months of downside or misery, you can. But know that in years, the chances of this, not being worth $100,000, $300,000, $500,000 a coin, to me, in my opinion, not financial advice, is pretty slim. And that's if everything stayed the same. But is there any chance that governments around the world are all of a sudden going to become fiscally responsible? Are they going to turn off the printing presses, wipe out a whole bunch of welfare programs, fire 80% of the bureaucrats, and pull their heads in and start operating inside of their budget? I think the chances of that are precisely zero, which means more money printing, more money printing, more money printing, devaluation of fiat currencies, and the world has fewer and fewer places to go to hide from the savages of inflation, which, by the way, the inflation report came out, even by their own bullshit numbers. Inflation, I think, hit just shy of 7%, 6.8% year over year. And it's going to go much, much higher. In all likelihood, the amount of money that the government printed in 2021 will be even less than the amount they're going to print in 2022. So these, just a handful of years, I call that medium term. These medium-term headwinds are just, tailwinds, I should say, for Bitcoin are just absolutely incredible. But in the meantime, there might be some volatility and there might be some downtimes. So just to remember to have diamond hands and be strong through that. All right, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think about it? Was Michael Saylor's guesses good? He said between 10x and 250x. In 5 to 10 years' time, what do you think the crypto market is going to be? 5x, 10x, 50x, 100x, 200x, 500x. Let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button and that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.